Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Cal Royal number SH-140 4.5 by 4.5 USP prime coat single acting spring hinge full mortise standard weight steel base. So let's dissect that part number a little bit. SH means spring hinge. The -140 is representative of the fact that that's what this is, a commercial grade spring hinge. 4.5 by 4.5 is obviously a reference to the size, and on hinges like that, the height is always the first dimension. But since it's square, however, 4.5 would be the height versus like a 4.5 by 4. 4.5 is the height, 4.5 wide. USP is a reference to the fact that this is a prime coat hinge, something that's intended to be painted. Okay. Single acting means that it is only going to close a door in one direction or operate a door in a single acting fashion. Non-handed, can work on left hand or right hand doors. Full mortise, you can see from the swag on the hinge leaf here that hinge, when the leaves are mortised to the edge of the door and frame, they'd be completely flush in a closed position like this. Okay. Standard weight is a reference to the leaf thickness being 134 thousandths. That's very typical for commercial grade hinges for standard weight versus heavyweight. Standard weight. Steel base means it's made of steel. Okay. So this being a spring hinge is used obviously to close doors. Typically going to be used in situations where you would have a fire rated door that needs to be self-closing. Can be used in lieu of a door closer. Can be used when people just want a door to close behind them and it's not a fire rated opening. Although fire rated applications are very typical for spring hinges. While I'm not a fan of spring hinges used to make doors self-closing when compared against door closers, they sure do fill a need in the marketplace. And if installed properly, can be expected to do a reliable job. What I mean primarily by that is having the spring hinge installed in the proper quantity, okay, given the job that it's being asked to do. On the back side of the box that these hinges will likely ship in, and there's a link below this video to the instructions, gives you an idea of how many hinges you're supposed to have based on the weight of the door. Now, being a 4.5 inch spring hinge, 2 is very typical. 1 is somewhat uncommon because these are generally installed on 1 3/4 doors. They can be mixed and matched with standard hinges because the axis of pivoting is compatible with a standard 4.5 commercial grade hinge. But I have found success when I've got all spring hinges, or more than I need based on the chart. And the chart is basically said 70-pound doors, you're looking at 2 spring hinges and a regular hinge, maybe even up to 115-pound door. But anything above that, they really want all 3 spring hinges. But again, I'm a fan of all spring hinges. Not for the obvious reason you might think, because they're really inexpensive, but because you get better control out of a door actually closing when you've got enough spring power installed on the door. When you're underpowered in terms of the springs, what people end up doing is setting the tension so high, and we'll go over the instructions in a moment, just to get the door moving in the closing direction fast enough to overcome the air pressure, the resistance of the latch bolt hitting the strike plate. Get it swinging so fast, just so that there's enough inertia built up in the door so that it will finally latch. I find that a really poor way to make a door reliably work, and I have found that a solution for that can come from adding additional spring hinges. Because think of a tugboat. They don't go very fast, but because of their torque, they can pull a lot of weight. Having a lot of spring hinges is like having a lot of torque, because the stored energy in a spring is very much spent in the very final closing degrees of a door. There's not enough energy left in that spring to do the real business end of closing a door, which is the latch bolt, hitting that strike plate, overcoming that friction, and getting it to actually latch, without cranking it all so high that it slams latch and sometimes bounces back open. So when you got all spring hinges, or more than you need, you can share that load more evenly against other spring hinges, have enough stored energy built up in the torsion of the spring to allow a more controlled sort of situation in the closing aspect where you don't have to get it moving fast to slam it. You can kind of set it reasonably, not overtax any one spring hinge in particular, and I think you'll find a better amount of success, quite frankly, if you do that. Now, setting the tension, you can always opt to go with 1 or 2 and then add more later on. These hinges come with a tension rod, and they will come with a tension pin. How do you set the tension is very simple. That's the tension collar, and it goes towards the top of the door, regardless of the hand. You insert the tension rod into one of those holes and turn it clockwise. As you do that, you reveal new holes, and into one of those new holes is where you insert that tension pin. Generally about 3 holes is what they have in mind, because keep in mind you're going to really get a lot of additional setting on that spring when you open it up. So about 3 holes is typical, and that's how you go about doing it. Cal Royal never forgets to put these in there, and they take great pains to make sure that they don't miss any tension rods or tension pins, because without both of those tools you cannot get the hinge operating correctly. So they're pretty much always in there. Screws in a complementary finish are included, all wood screw and all metal screw. You'd be dealing with 12/24 on those metal screws, and of course number 12 by 1.25" on the wood screws, which is very typical. Cal Royal is a full-line importer of all things builders hardware related. Not only typical commercial grade spring hinges like this, which are available in several different finishes by the way, but exit devices, door closers, continuous hinges, lock sets, a great job with those, kick plates, trim and auxiliary hardware like door stops and surface bolts, things of that nature, kick plates if I haven't said that. Real nice quality hinge, very good quality fit and finish on something for, quite frankly, is an imported hinge. I've been a distributor of Cal Royals for many, many years. I find them to be predictable and reliable, and very good to deal with. If you have any questions on the Cal Royal SH-140, 4.5x4.5 USP spring hinge, prime coat, or any other Cal Royal product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.